How are we all this morning? Good to hear. Now, I do have some details from the Health Minister around COVID stats, so if you don't mind me referring to these notes. These are the stats for Sunday, 3 April 2022. 8,478 new cases, including 4,880 positive RAT tests. So that means that we've got now currently 61,238 active cases. There's 16,532 samples were tested in the last 24 hours. So that I can also report that there have been no deaths reported today, and our total is 746 deaths in total for the state of Queensland. And obviously no deaths in aged care residents as well. There are currently 375 patients in public hospitals, including 14 in ICU in COVID care. And COVID care at home totals some 3,047 cases in HHS virtual wards and hospital in the home scheme. So that's those COVID numbers for the day, if everyone's happy with that.
Do you have any numbers for the children who are hospitalised? Yesterday there were 17, if not that's fine.
There are 12 cases in school-aged children currently hospitalised. 6 of those are primary school-aged and 6 of those are secondary school-aged.
I'll just rattle off a couple of COVID questions, then we just move on.
Yep.
That's right.
Sure.
Have you been given any indication of when this wave is going to end?
So certainly what the briefings suggest at this point is that this wave is a long and slow one. So hopefully this school holiday period, to be honest, gives a bit of a break of what was happening in terms of that spread and within school settings and school environments that were then going on to impact and affect families. So not an indication as to whether we are beyond the peak, but hopeful that this upcoming period will be a positive period.
I know it's still early in the pop-up clinics being opened, like they've been set up for school places, but have you had any indication of how they've gone yesterday?
Certainly it was a very positive indication that numbers are good. I don't have those numbers to hand, but certainly it was a positive reaction and response, and certainly we want to see significantly more school-aged children being vaccinated.
Do we have any idea, we'll go into the tourism side more afterwards, but how this has impacted families, kids in isolation, stuff like that leading into the holidays?
Well, certainly we know that the sector has been very conscious of working with those people with bookings to be able to be flexible and responsive. That's been really positive for the tourism sector to be responsive to the needs of people where there are COVID impacts. But it's part of the broader story where we've seen the way in which there have been shorter timeframes in terms of bookings being made. I think people are being precautious before they make those bookings. But that means, segueing into the broader conversation, there are great opportunities still available for people for this school holiday and Easter period. So I will turn to referring to that topic if you're okay. So it's great to be here today with Leanne Coddington, CEO of Tourism and Events Queensland, and Daniel Gishrin, the CEO of QTIC. So we can talk about this great positive period that we do have ahead of us. The school holidays have seen good bookings and good measures and good numbers. It's into the holiday period itself of the Easter long weekend. Those numbers have become even stronger. So that's very positive. But there still is space, there still is capacity. So places like the Gold Coast, I think 78% booking capacity for the Easter long weekend. So there are still opportunities for people to have a break and have that experience. But the real opportunity beyond that is the fact that we've got 3 long weekends in a row with Easter, Anzac Day and Labor Day that means that Queenslanders can enjoy Queensland right across that period. And I'd really encourage people to get onto Queensland.com, check out not only the opportunities but the deals that are available to fly away to a getaway up north, or drive to some of those markets in southeast Queensland and beyond, including places like Roma, where the Roma Easter Festival is happening over the Easter long weekend. But also think about a staycation in the city. The CBD has been probably one of our destinations in terms of our tourism and our hotels that and accommodation opportunities that hasn't had as good a time as others in this rebound from the impacts of COVID. So I encourage people to think about, for these long weekends coming up, about a staycation or from people from broader afield in Queensland. Try Brisbane as a place, as a destination. Plenty of amazing things to do, exciting opportunities, great experiences like those offered by River Life on the Brisbane River, or QPAC obviously has got an amazing range of things, shows and things going on, and of course the great opportunities that all of our cultural institutions provide for visitors from across the state, and even Brisbaneites who want to spend some time having a bit of pampering themselves at maybe one of the hotels in the CBD. So I really encourage people to consider that, but do that in a context where we've actually seen some pretty good indication and pretty good rebound. And that's also been highlighted by the latest Tourism Research Australia survey, where we've seen for 2021, we've actually seen our figures rebound to a point where they're actually almost 8% over the 2019 figures for Queensland. Off the back of the Palaszczuk government's 5 different campaigns that we ran to help address and support the tourism industry in its bounce back from COVID, 2021 actually saw some great outcomes and a really positive boon for visitation into Queensland. So we want to, off the back of that, I know that people have seen a little bit of what they've loved about their home state, and those coming from interstate have seen even more. We want to see that grow further, and we know that things like aviation will be a big part of that, and that's why we'll continue to work closely with our friends in the aviation industry, but also be ready for the way in which the international market can return to Queensland. And that's a very strong focus of ours in our campaigning and in that aviation piece as well. So I might hand over to Leanne now to say a bit more about what is on offer and what opportunities there are.
What we did see over the last 2 years of the pandemic is that Queenslanders and Australians have learned to holiday at home like they would normally do when they go overseas, that they've opened themselves up to experience what Queensland really has to offer. So we're encouraging everyone to continue to have a look at Queensland.com. There's over 800 deals on the site, which gives great value for people to really explore all of the destinations in Queensland, from Cairns and the Great Barrier Reef in the north to the amazing outback to the Gold Coast and in Brisbane. APT 10 is still on at Goma. If you haven't already gone out to see that, you should go and have a look at that. Many other great opportunities. Spirit of the Red Sands at Beenleigh is offering a fabulous deal on their experience. So we do encourage everyone to have a look at Queensland.com and immerse yourself in the destination when you go to have a holiday.
What are some of the trends that you're kind of witnessing so far? Most people wanting to go beachside or wanting to go far north? How's it shaping up?
Yeah, it's looking like a really good mix actually across the state. We're seeing occupancy levels in the north sitting at around 80-odd%, on the Gold Coast at around the same, just under 80%. So people are spreading far and wide. We're seeing the aviation industry coping with the increased demand, which is wonderful. And I think where we're seeing the need is for everyone to think about that Brizzy escape, to either stay at home here and have a little staycation if you haven't already made your plans, or if you're in the regions of Queensland, to come and come to the city.
Are you worried about the stigma that interstate travellers might have about Brisbane and the floods? You know, I've heard of people who have cancelled because they think Brisbane's still muddy.
We have done a partnership with the 5 regional tourism organisations that have been affected by the flooding. Nothing Beats Queensland re-emerged, and the whole purpose of that campaign was to remind people how good the regions look now. So I think we're getting through that as we recover, as the wonderful images of each of our destinations are going into the markets, we're seeing people book those holidays.
But this might maybe be something for a more appropriate for an answer. You know, you were talking about, for example, coming to a city like South Bank. It's still like it's, you know, like a bit of a wasteland. It's all shut. All the parks are shut. The pools are everything there's still shut.
There is lots of other things to do. We know that Goma is open. We know that there are parts of QPAC that are open. The Botanical Gardens, the Howard Smith Wharves, the city hotels. There are lots of experiences to have in Brisbane.
The sun is out. It's a good omen for an industry that has been heavily impacted over the last 2 years by the challenges of COVID-19. We're coming out of this slowly. We have strong bookings for the Easter break, Easter holidays, the long weekends. We have a lot of ground to make up, but we're hopeful that this will certainly be the turnaround that our industry's been waiting for. We have a lot of interest in our destinations across the state. From the north, the beautiful winter weather is returning. We have great signs in the Whitsundays in North Queensland. The Outback is starting its winter season. All the signs are on positive. We also have international markets coming back slowly. We had the first international flight into Cairns this week from Singapore. We have the LA connection with Brisbane soon starting again. So it's good signs. But in the meantime, whilst the international market is slow to recover, we still have opportunities to have this state, our great destinations, to ourselves. Australians can experience all the diversity of Queensland. Now is the time to do it before we get into a full swing again with the international market as well. So take advantage of the great long weekends that are coming up, the Easter break, and of course the winter in general. It is really the time to not only do something for yourself, but do something for the communities across Queensland who've been waiting for visitors for so long.
Do you think there is still hesitancy about COVID? For example, people not booking until the last minute, lest they get COVID in the lead up to that?
Last-minute bookings have certainly been a trend long before COVID, and it's a challenge for operators to plan, to put staff in place, to be ready for visitors, but we just have learned to deal with this, and we will continue to do that. Consumers absolutely are more conscious of their health and well-being during their travel. We have a very good track record in Queensland, in Australia, for looking after our visitors, looking after our staff. We have excellent plans in place, not just the regulation that are slowly coming off, but the internal management at our venues, at our accommodation venues. We're doing a great job looking after people. So we should feel confident that visitors will be safe, they can travel with confidence, and that's what the customer care is all about.
How big an opportunity is this for Queensland, given that it's probably one of the biggest holiday periods with all the days coming together, and probably one of the first holiday periods where people don't really have to jump through those hurdles of flights and pre-flight tests and things like that?
Well, absolutely. Look, the pent-up demand is very strong. We are really eager to get out of our cages, whatever that may be, regulatory cages. We want to enjoy ourselves. We want to get out there and have a great experience, get together with our family, get together with our friends, and enjoy what's on offer in Queensland. It is a great opportunity. I do believe Queensland, Australia, has what the world wants, has what the world needs at this time. We want to really cast the shadows aside from COVID and get back into the sunshine, both literally and metaphorically, and Queensland is the place to do that.
You've been here for the long haul. What do you make of the last 2 years? COVID, floods, lockouts, you name it. You've been there all along. How would you sum up that last 2-year period?
Pretty catastrophic for our industry and for the community, of course. It is without a doubt the longest lasting and the most universal drama we had to deal with. We've had many crises before. We're very good at managing crises in the industry and in this state. We've learned a lot, but this challenge was without a doubt the biggest we've ever faced in the last few decades. But we've overcome, I believe that, and our industry has yet again demonstrated that it can do it. The operators have shown resilience beyond expectations, and I think it sets us up for a strong future. on the runway towards the Olympics. It will make us that much better as a destination for visitors and for the community. Well, the most important aspect of being competitive is, of course, delivering on the expectations, delivering on the promise, and I think we're setting our industry up in collaboration with government support, with the state government, with Tourism and Events Queensland, with the regional tourism organisations. We're really setting up the industry to deliver. That is very important. We also, of course, need the marketing and promotional support. And again, I give credit to the state government in particular for stepping up and supporting us in this. We have to hunt in a pack, as we say. We have to position our destinations, both domestically and internationally, at the forefront. We have some key attractions here. We have the Great Barrier Reef, we have the Great Outback, we have the wonderful coastline, the incredible infrastructure in the cities of the Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast. We can really deliver something to the world. And if we work together well, I think we can certainly make a difference and come out of this stronger than we were before the pandemic, as a stronger destination globally, as a destination that, as I said, has what the world needs.
Where are we at with flight capacity? Is it back to pre-pandemic levels?
The domestic capacity is approaching pre-pandemic levels, and we're very pleased to see that. The airlines respond to market demand, of course, as every other business does, and they have put capacity back in many places. In fact, we find now city pairs and destinations come to life that were either not there before or certainly not at that level. So we see new opportunities emerging. People like to travel point to point without delays or without intermediary airports, so that's good to see. Internationally, it will take a little bit longer to put the puzzle back together, and many airlines were deeply affected by the crisis, and it remains to be seen how this all plays out. But again, we have strong offerings in Queensland. We have 4 international airports in Queensland. We are a bit closer to our core markets in Asia than our friends in the other states, so we hopefully will be able to take advantage of that.
And with those occupancy rates we've been talking about, say for Inala or down the Gold Coast, for example, do you have an idea of the makeup of that for domestic versus international tours?
At the moment, it's heavily still weighted in favour of the domestic market, of course, but we do know that the international wholesalers and travel distributors are very interested in putting our products back on the shelves, and hopefully that will bring the bookings in from overseas as well.
Like, for example, like are we talking 90% domestic or like?
Look, yeah, it's a majority, an absolute majority is certainly still domestic, but it's slowly coming back. The free and independent travellers from perhaps the more intrepid markets out of Europe, the US, are coming back slowly.
Has there been a forward projection on what's currently happening? See how long it is before we liberate?
Do you have some numbers? Sorry?
A lot of work has been done during COVID to look at the recovery, and our current estimates is 2024-2025 before we get back to 2019 levels. Total, yeah, international and across the board.
That's still a long way away.
And that's why we're very focused on our domestic market and ensuring that Australians holiday at home and come and experience Queensland like they have been doing in droves over the last 2 years.
Minister, do we have any figures about how many tourism operators didn't make it through the last 2 years?
Yeah, really that comes down to how broadly you define tourism operators, and so many people are involved in the visitor economy, and we know in particular hospitality has been particularly hard hit. So we don't have those figures in a refined way, but there's no question that we've seen tourism, people very active in the visitor economy have been hit by the pandemic and have not come through this.
Is it fair to say that, you know, these industries are really reliant now on domestic travellers, given what you're just saying, what Leanne was just saying about the 24, 25?
And as they have been during the impact of the pandemic, and that's why it's been so important that we've seen people and I'm afraid to use this term, I haven't tried to avoid using it for a long time, but who had pivoted and effectively shifted their focus of their offer and their capability from being, in some instances, very solely focused on international markets to being having a more of a domestic focus, and that domestic focus will continue. While we do see, some of the challenge of this is the opening of international borders isn't just a one-way thing. We are seeing a re-emergence of Australians looking to travel overseas. That isn't re-emerging as quickly and to the heights that it was before the pandemic either. So this is a two-way street, and it does mean that our industry will, for that foreseeable future, remain a bit more focused and weighted towards domestic travel. And Queensland is in the best place nationally to take advantage of that. We've got the greatest diversity of offer, greatest diversity of experiences. The destinations we have, which straddle a range of different experiences and opportunities, as Leanne really eloquently set out. That means there's more opportunities for Australians to have more experiences here in Queensland.
Are you worried a cyclone might throw these planes off?
The reality is that we are well experienced and well versed with responding to the impacts and the challenges that our natural environment throws up to us, and the industry is very well tuned to responding to those things when they need to.
It seems like we're almost split in two at the moment. We've got cyclones flow down north to the southeast. How intertwined do you think the flood recovery is with getting a strong tourism sector back up in the southeast, especially that was so heavily hit by the flood?
There's no question that building back better has been a theme that we've had in talking to the industry in relation to the response to the global pandemic. That building back better continues to be a theme in terms of how we build back from the impacts of natural disasters. That's been the case when we've seen it in the past. That's been the case when they've been the impacts of cyclones in the north, or indeed flooding in the south, or in fires in other parts of throughout the rest of the state, including on the Sunshine Coast. And we've seen great examples of the way we've built back better and responding.
Another matter around land valuation. The Brisbane Law Mayor wants to scrap the land valuation from the last year and fears it'll impact on land tax rates, whether they have to pay land tax. Why won't the government just scrap those land valuations in light of the flood?
Well, there is a process that's in place, a process that involves and provides for people to raise concerns around their valuation and to say that the circumstances have changed for those valuations. That process is in full swing, and we encourage people to take it up where they've been affected.
The valuations were scrapped in 2011.
Well, the timing is quite different in relation to that, Jack. Basically, the floods in 2011 happened in January. These ones, as you know, in late February, early March. And that the timing of that in terms of how the valuations were done and the process of issuing them made a significant difference. But let me be clear, local government has the capacity to deal with the impacts that valuations might have on their rates, and I want to acknowledge Brisbane City Council doing that in relation to flood-affected properties in Brisbane. And I also note that we do have a land tax regime that means that this isn't an issue for most people affected by the floods. So this is an issue that can be dealt with through the systems that exist, with the ability to challenge valuations. This is a process that can be dealt with through the process of challenging valuations. Yeah, well, there are certainly some of the offer and ability of the parklands is reopened. I look forward to seeing what Brisbane City Council's plans are to reopen all of those facilities. But I know I made mention of river life earlier, and those opportunities and experiences that people can have getting out and about on the river. That's a business that was absolutely impacted by the floods. They're up and operating again, delivering great experiences, hosting events, doing a great job. So there are plenty of experiences that have been impacted by the floods at the end of February, early March, who are back on their feet and offering experiences to Queenslanders.
And sorry, just quickly, have we ever had the 3 in a row like this before?
Not for a long time, I don't think. So having them as genuine long weekends, because of course, you know, you have Anzac Day is always held on the day, so it's not necessarily making a long weekend. So it has been a long time since we've had this experience of having 3 genuine long weekends in a row. So I really encourage people to get out and make the most of that. There is so many good experiences for people to have, so many, drive or indeed fly with some really cheap bargains. Again, I encourage people to check out Queensland.com. You'll get some flights into the Whitsundays at some very, very low prices. Get out and experience everything Queensland has to offer.
Quick left field question here. What do you think about having a koala as the 2032 Olympic mascot? Keen?
Here we are, 3,762 days before the opening ceremony, and there is plenty of time to work on what will be part of that celebration of the Games and having a mascot. Obviously, I was involved in celebrating the choice of Borrowby as the mascot for the 2018 Commonwealth Games, and that was great to have that mascot being a koala, one of Queensland's fauna emblem. But I'm not going to lock things into where we go. As the member for Sandgate, I've got a quiet sort of soft touch for the idea that the ibis might play a role, and I know there's plenty of Queenslanders who think that's something that might be appropriate as well. But the reality is that this is something that we can work on as a community to help tell our story to the globe, and we'll do that together. But it will be an important decision when it is made by the organising committee.
Instead of just paying Ludo Studios and using Bluey, seems to be a good idea.
Bluey is a fantastic ambassador for Brisbane and Queensland, and I know that there'll be so many different opportunities of different ideas and suggestions that we'll have, that'll be part of the development of those stories over that time, that 10-year pathway to our Olympic and Paralympic experience, that having a conversation around who can play that fun role of a mascot will be part of that conversation.